And welcome, sports fans, to today's Roundtable. Glad you joined us right here on Channel 21 on your new wave cable, as well as SemoSportsZone.com. And a lot of action that's taking place this week as we're had our first full week of winter sports action after Christmas, and a very busy Christmas, of course, with all the Christmas tournaments going on, and now getting into back to the routine schedule throughout the week. And what a week it was. Quite a bit of basketball taking place last night throughout the area. Some notable games as well, which we'll get to in just a moment. And we've had quite a few games as well right here on YHC to bring to you live through our cable network. So we got many more to come as well, which we'll get to in just a moment as well. But very exciting time heading into the kind of the second half of the basketball season here for 2015. And take a look at we'll take a look at some highlights of the few games we did this week. And we'll first start off with our broadcast schedule. The game we did last night, Woodland and Dexter. That will replay today at noon and 6:30, and also Sunday afternoon at 4. And we'll also get that uploaded to SemoSportsZone.com this weekend. And homecoming game for the Dexter Bearcats. And if you watch that game here today, this weekend, we got the homecoming coronation as well before. So you can catch that Woodland and Dexter Stoddard County matchup this weekend. And taking a look at the game, the final score of that game from last night, it was Woodland over Dexter, 74-54. Impressive victory for the Woodland Cardinals. And we've got some highlights of that game, which we'll get to now. Taking a look from last night, first getting underway with Peyton Pollock hitting a nice three for the Bearcats out front. And Garrett Reynolds, a nice dish to Zach Beal for the finish for the Cardinals. And Garrett Reynolds going to be in this highlight quite a bit with a nice runner along the right side. And here we see a nice jumper put up on the baseline by Jason Gerald, who had a really nice night for the Bearcats as well. Zach Beal stepping out, the 6'6", big guy stepping out, hitting a three. Actually hit a few threes in this game. And Garrett Reynolds here in the third quarter getting the 4-point play off the three. And here's another three by Reynolds, which he really went off here in the third quarter. As we see here, a nice putback by Jason Gerald for Dexter. And back on the other end, Garrett Reynolds getting open in the left corner for another three, knocking it down for Woodland. And Garrett Reynolds putting on a show here, going on to the basket, getting the basket and the foul, as he really turned it on in the second half for Woodland. And Jason Gerald really stepped it up last night here with a few buckets, tough buckets right in the paint. And here, once again, Garrett Reynolds open for three, knocking it down. And Zach Beal stepping out once again, knocking down the three. Woodland shot the ball very well from three last night. Now kind of capping it off with an alley-oop dunk to Zach Beal, finishing it off for the Cardinals, 74-54. And Woodland's one of those teams I said coming into this year, team to look out for. They finished pretty strong last year. Woodland finished second in the Stoddard County tournament last year to Bernie. That's where they kind of turned some heads last year, winning in the semifinals. I think it was over, can't remember who it was over, kind of speaking ahead of turn there, but Woodland getting second place in the county tournament last year, and with the transfer of Zach Beal from Leopold into Woodland, very talented big guy for the Cardinals, along with Garrett Reynolds. They're nice combo guard they've got, and they've got some other players contributing as well. They got a nice little team there in Woodland, and they're going to make some noise in the Stoddard County tournament this year. They got a chance to be right there in the mix for that county title, and they're going to be a formidable opponent come district time in Class 3 as well. So Woodland really looking good last night in their victory over Dexter. And taking a look at some other games from last night. We have Charleston over Sykeston in that SEMO Conference matchup. Charleston get a nice victory over Sykeston. And also Farmington over North County, 64-46. Neelyville over Naylor, 75-41 out west in the Ozark Foothills Conference. Also, New Madrid County Central over Malden, 79-65. That was a nice Class 3 district matchup. They share the same district here in Southeast Missouri in Class 3 District 1, and New Madrid got a comfortable victory over Malden. It was a pretty close game. New Madrid went out a run in the game to put it away, but nice kind of preview of the district matchups coming down to the end of the year. But New Madrid playing really well. Had a nice victory over Kennett earlier this week, and we brought that game to you live right here on YHC Tuesday night as Willie Jemerson had 41 in that game against Kennett earlier this week. So New Madrid having a good week with victories over Kennett and Malden. And Oran defeated Saxony Lutheran 55-49. Nice victory for the Oran Eagles last night. Portageville over Crothersville down the Boot Hill Conference 55-51. Also Puxco over East Carter County 70-53. Scott City over Chaffee 66-29. Scott City looking good, and we'll actually have Scott City and Portageville live right here on Channel 21 and SemoSportsZone.com Monday night at 7:30. That's our next broadcast, Monday night at 7:30. That's Portageville versus Scott City, and that's at Portageville as well. And Zalma over Delta last night, 73-22. Notre Dame over Springfield Catholic in tournament play, 68-42. And Jackson had a tough game with Solent International Studies in double overtime, getting the victory in tournament play, 66-63. And a tough win for Jackson over a very good Solent team last night. And in girls basketball last night, Notre Dame defeated Nerix Hall 48-40. Excuse me. Also, St. Hornersville over East Carter County 40-33. And that wraps up the games from last night. And very good games. Had some very good matchups last night. When you talk about Woodland and Dexter, also there's a couple other games there that we missed out on. It was Bloomfield and East Prairie. East Prairie knocked off Bloomfield last night. Quite a game for East Prairie, knocking off Bloomfield. I think the final score was 66-65. East Prairie over Bloomfield. So Bloomfield looked really good in that Bloomfield Christmas tournament, coming away with third place, knocking off the two top seeds in Hayti and Malden in that tournament, and come away with third place, but just come up a bit short last night to the East Prairie Eagles. And East Prairie looked really good in that tournament. They were the 13 seed, went all the way out to the Consolation Championship, but lost to Puxco, the 10 seed, which Puxco had a really nice run in the tournament as well. But East Prairie was one of those teams that kind of stood out as one of the lower seeds, doing really well in the tournament as a 13 seed. So big victory for East Prairie last night, and that was on their home court over there in East Prairie. So very impressive victory for the East Prairie Eagles last night. And also Bernie, I don't know if we had Bernie and Advance in there. Bernie beat Advance 64-56. I think we left that one out of there. Bernie got a nice victory in the Stoddard County Conference, 64-56 over Advance. So it's going to be a very competitive Stoddard County this year. You've got your mainstays in there with Bernie, and Advance is right there as well. But Woodland, as they showed last year, playing in that county title game, they're going to be right there in the mix. Dexter's right there. They had a poor showing last night, but they're going to be right there. Dexter's going to be right there in the mix as well. And you throw in, as I said, Advanced Bell City's coming on, looking pretty good as well, improving. They're one of the more improving teams in the Stoddard County. And Bloomfield's looking really good. Despite the loss last night to East Prairie, that Bloomfield Christmas tournament, they were a very strong team. Noah Vandiver playing very well, averaged over 25 points in the Christmas tournament, had 33 last night against East Prairie. So Noah Vandiver and the Bloomfield Wildcats looking really good. So very competitive. Stoddard County this year. It's going to be a nice tournament to watch here in probably a month or so when that county tournament gets underway. And we'll bring the final night of that tournament to you live right here on Channel 21. So some nice games last night, and we want to get to another highlight. Earlier in the week, Thursday night, we went down to South Pemiscot and went down there, and we'll show some highlights of that game from Thursday night as South Pemiscot hung around early on with a nice bucket there and a nice one here into the lane. Hanging around with the Malden Green Wave early on, but Malden really pushed it ahead later on in the game. A nice drive and finish by Cortez Dobbins, and here a nice putback by Barber, getting the putback for the Green Wave. And here a nice dish off by Cortez Dobbins to his teammate there for the finish, and Dobbins with a nice finish there in the lane. And here nice dish down to Trevor Ison getting the bucket. And Contrell Johnson stepping up, knocking down the three for South Pemiscot late in the game. But a nice jump shot there by Malden, putting that game away Thursday night, 74-48. The Malden Green Wave victorious over the South Pemiscot Bulldogs. So Malden looking really good. Looked really good Thursday night. Had a really tough game following that game last night with New Madrid County Central, falling to New Madrid last night by about 14. But Malden going to be right there in the mix in Class 3 as well. So nice showing by Malden Thursday night against South Pemiscot. And that game will replay today at 2 o'clock for sure. Actually, 1:30. It's going to replay at 1:30. Malden versus South Pemiscot. You can catch that replay from Thursday night. I had a little trouble bringing that one live to you Thursday night. We couldn't get really good cooperation with the school network there. Couldn't get through to bring that one live to you Thursday night. So we're having to replay that. And also it's going to be available on SeaboldSportsZone.com later on today. So, and also some notable girls games this week. Farmington and Dexter. Dexter defeated Farmington. I believe that score was, I think, around 49-41 Thursday night. Dexter Lady Bearcats victorious Thursday night against Farmington. So there's going to be some nice girls games coming up. We got the Lady Bearcats on the schedule coming up in the next few weeks. Got some big games on the schedule. Some of their tougher games against St. James and also St. Joseph Academy. We're going to bring those games live to you right here on Channel 21 and SeaboldSportsZone.com. So some very competitive girls games coming up on our broadcast schedule. And we're going to take a break and be back with more coming up.
Deposit your check here or here or even there. Deposit your check wherever you are with First Midwest Bank's new mobile deposit. Just tap, snap, deposit. It's that simple. New mobile deposit from First Midwest Bank, serving the communities we call home.
Always on the go? Take the best in TV entertainment with you with New Wave to Go. Now you can enjoy your home television service everywhere, anytime on your laptop, tablet, or smartphone. Watch your favorite channels and sporting events live via the internet. Even access your home DVR to enjoy your recorded shows and movies or to set up future recordings. Prices start at just $12.99 a month. So call us today and ask about New Wave to Go. Another innovative service brought to you by New Wave, your local communications experts.
And we got some big news in Southeast Missouri this past weekend. College basketball. Gene Bess of Three Rivers College wins his 1,200th game at Three Rivers as Gene Bess and the Three Rivers Raiders defeated State Fair Community College Thursday night in Sedalia. And Gene Bess secures his 1,200th win of his illustrious career at Three Rivers. And Gene Bess has been coaching over 40 years at Three Rivers for the Raiders, and he is by far the winningest college basketball coach across any division, whether it's NCAA, NAIA, junior college. He is the winningest coach in college basketball history, and he's owned the winningest college basketball coach title since 2006. He surpassed the previous leading coach in 2006 at the junior college level, and is by far the winningest coach in college basketball history with 1,200 wins. So, very nice story. Gene Bess, longtime coach there at Three Rivers College, and widely renowned across college athletics for his illustrious career, and just anyone you talk to who's played for him just speaks volumes of what he's brought to their life and to Three Rivers. Over 40 years been coaching for the Three Rivers Raiders, and it's just unbelievable what he's been able to do there, and the longevity he's been able to have in his career at Three Rivers. I can remember when I was in high school, 12, 13 years ago, and thinking he was about to probably wrap it up, and he's still going strong as ever, and no signs of slowing down at all from Gene Bess. And 1,200 wins, certainly a milestone that very few, if any, will reach. I don't know if we'll ever see a junior college coach reach that many wins. When you surpass the previous leader 8 years ago and you're still going strong, I don't know if it'll ever be reached. That's probably that's one sports record across any level that might not be surpassed. You talk about records that might not ever be broken. This might be one that never ever will be reached at any level, whether it's junior college or NCAA, at any level, at any college basketball level. This might be one that never will be reached. If you have to coach over 40 years, possibly 50 years to even reach it, I don't know. That might be one you can throw up there with some records that won't ever be touched. So, and that's a big deal coming here in Southeast Missouri over Poplar Bluff at Three Rivers College. Certainly a record that might not ever be reached with Gene Bess's 1,200 plus wins. He's not done. He's probably got quite a bit left in him. He's certainly the locomotive that keeps going. So congratulations to Gene Bess and Three Rivers College on the milestone this week. And let's touch on our broadcast schedule coming up here on YHC. As I mentioned earlier, we've got Portageville and Scott City coming up Monday night from Portageville. We're going to bring that one live to you right here on Channel 21 and SemoSportsZone.com. That'll be Monday night at 7:30, Scott City at Portageville. So look forward to that matchup Monday night right here on YHC. And later on next week we've next Tuesday night, we've got Clarkton at Risco, and that'll be live from Risco, and a nice Tri-County Conference matchup next Tuesday night. Clarkton at Risco, and always a good rivalry between those two schools. We'll be looking forward to that at the Roy Hahn Gymnasium Tuesday night in Risco. We'll bring that one live to you right here on YHC and SemoSportsZone.com. And next Friday night we'll be in Dexter. And we got Bernie and Dexter next Friday night. Always a big one that we bring to you right here on Channel 21 and SemoSportsZone.com. That'll be down in Bernie in the Mule Barn as the Dexter Bearcats take on the Bernie Mules. Always a big rivalry between those two schools. So you pretty much chalk up next week to rivalry week right here on YHC with Clarkton and Risco Tuesday night, followed up by Dexter and Bernie Friday night, live from Bernie at around 7:30, right here on Channel 21 and SemoSportsZone.com. So should be a good one Friday night. That'll be the first matchup between Josh Dowdy, the new first-year coach for the Dexter Bearcats, and Brad Botch of Bernie. First time those two going at it in the season. So should be a good one. Always is. Doesn't matter what the records are, it seems like they always have a good matchup. I can remember just a couple years ago when Bernie had a really good year. Dexter was struggling and pulled off the upset there in Bernie. it was 2 years ago, and Bernie won last year on Dexter's home court. So we'll see what happens Friday night in Bernie between Dexter and Bernie. That's Stoddard County rivalry, just about 8 or 9 miles apart along Highway 25. Should be a good one once again next Friday night, live from Bernie. And we're going to take one more break and talk about some more sports happenings coming up.
What is your emergency? Need assistance at County Road 61 and Highway 9. Help is on its way.
Clear! There's a better way to jumpstart your soil back to health. Apply Endzone to protect and increase nitrogen efficiency without killing bacteria. Apply Prevent to increase phosphorus availability and reduce fixation. Better yet, use them both to get more from your fertilizer investment and see higher potential yields. Ag Explorer, your prescription for healthy soil.
Welcome to NFL Total Access.
The show that takes you inside the locker room and down on the field. With inside access to all 32 teams all year long. NFL Total Access Monday through Saturday, only on NFL Network.
NFL Network, where football season never ends.
And now let's take a look at some big matchups this weekend. A big weekend in football, just football in general. Actually, weekend going into Monday night, but starting with this weekend in the NFL playoffs. Got a big weekend in the NFL playoffs for the divisional round, and it's actually the AFC divisional as well. NFC and AFC divisional, and starting with today, in the AFC divisional today, this afternoon, it's going to be the Ravens at the Patriots at 3:35, and that game is going to be on NBC this afternoon. NBC, the Ravens at the Patriots. Should be a good one between those two. Very competitive teams there going back. The last 3 matchups have been quite, I guess you would say, unfortunate for the Patriots. Back in 2009, the Ravens run away with it on their home field, and then 2011, the Patriots escaped. Late touchdown that wasn't converted by the Ravens, and a missed field goal, sending the Patriots to the Super Bowl in 2011. And just a year later, the Ravens defeated the Patriots in the same game in the AFC Championship as they went on to win the Super Bowl that year. And now the Ravens come back to Foxborough, take on the Patriots. Should be a good one this afternoon in that AFC divisional. It's going to be a tightly contested game. The Ravens coming off that wild card victory over the Steelers on the road in Pittsburgh. So should be a good one this afternoon. Also later on tonight will be the NFC divisional. The Panthers at the Seahawks. And 2 very tough defenses there between those two teams. They faced off earlier in the year, and the Seahawks won 13-9 in the previous matchup in the season. So that's the kind of game you're probably going to see. A low-scoring affair. 2 offenses that aren't really high-octane offenses. They're, more of the ball control, taking advantage of their defenses and the field positions. So I would see a high-scoring affair between those two, between the Panthers and the defending champion Seattle Seahawks tonight at 7:15 in that NFC divisional. Now tomorrow's game, starting with the first game in the afternoon, the Cowboys taking on the Packers in Green Bay, and the Dallas Cowboys in the mix this year, having a very successful year, the best year in many years. They're in Dallas, coming off the victory last week against the Detroit Lions, and certainly a controversial victory when it comes to a few calls are actually calls that were reversed, and it was certainly an unfortunate outcome for the Lions, but the Cowboys advance, and they'll take on the Green Bay Packers Sunday right at noon for tomorrow. And quite a bit of news coming out of that potential matchup with Aaron Rodgers suffering a calf injury, sat out most of the week for practice. So there's reports that he might have a tear in his calf. So we'll see how that plays out tomorrow in the Cowboys and Packers NFC Divisional. And wrapping up the weekend in NFL football are the Colts and the Broncos Sunday afternoon at 3:40. And the Broncos will host the Indianapolis Colts in Denver as the second seed. And, of course, the big storyline into that one is Peyton Manning going up against his former team in the Indianapolis Colts and the Andrew Luck-led Indianapolis Colts, who was the first overall pick in the 2012 draft that went to replace Peyton Manning at quarterback. And Andrew Luck led the NFL in touchdowns this year with 40, and Peyton Manning was second with 39. So you've got the two top touchdown throwing quarterbacks in that game with Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. And they faced off in week 1 of the season this year. The Broncos won 31-24 over the Colts, which at one point it was 24-7. It was a runaway victory, but the Colts closed the gap in the end. But the Broncos led the way with the victory in week 1. So we got the rematch and big potential matchup between the Colts and the Broncos Sunday afternoon at 3:40. So is what they call the best weekend in NFL football, the divisional round. Four games over a weekend and highly contested games. The winners advancing to the conference championships next weekend. So certainly looking forward to a great weekend of NFL football starting today. And also Monday night, a big night for college football, wrapping up the college football season. And it's the second-ranked Oregon Ducks taking on the fourth-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. And very two similar teams. They run the spread offense and at a very fast pace. Of course, the Oregon Ducks, making a snap about every 16 seconds, and Ohio State and Urban Meyer's led Buckeyes do about the same. That high-paced spread offense should be a good matchup Monday night at 7:30. 7:30 on ESPN, and certainly probably not the expected final. I know Florida State and Alabama were, kind of the teams. I don't know about Florida State. Florida State kind of escaped their way through the season to an undefeated season, and Oregon took care of them in the semifinals. But probably Alabama's the shocker that's not in the finals for this year, as Ohio State defeated them in the semifinals. And Ohio State, certainly kind of I wouldn't say a shocker, but unexpected team to get in there. They're down to their third-string quarterback, and it seems like the train just keeps rolling. It doesn't matter who's there in there at quarterback, and kind of expected coming from an Urban Meyer led team. He's proved himself to be, right there with Nick Saban as the top coach in the college ranks. Ohio State, he took over that program just a few years ago on probation, weren't bowl eligible. He leads them, I think, to an undefeated season that year that they were bowl ineligible. So he was right there in the mix as one of the top teams in the country when the year they couldn't advance to a bowl game. So he's proved himself to be worth every penny to the Ohio State University. And we'll see how it plays out Monday night on ESPN, as the Oregon Ducks always been right there in the mix, played in national championship games. I know they lost to Auburn a few years back in the national championship. They've probably been the most consistent program, if you've seen, or without the exception of Alabama. They've probably been the one of the top 2 most consistent programs in college football, and they've just been right there. They've been right there, ranked in the top 2 or 3, and just haven't been able to win that national title. Maybe it's this year with the Marcus Mariota-led Oregon Ducks, a Heisman Trophy winner, going to be pushing them towards a national title Monday night. So it should be a good one between those 2 schools Monday night on ESPN. And that's pretty much all we've got to bring to you for this week's Roundtable. And again, we'll be bringing many more games right here on YHC and SeamoldSportsZone.com. And be sure to tune in for that. Again, Monday night, we've got Portageville and Scott City live from Portageville Monday night at 7:30. Tuesday night, Clarkton and Risco from Risco live Tuesday night at 7:30. And Friday night, next Friday night, Bernie and Dexter live from Bernie at 7:30. So look forward to those broadcasts next week right here on Channel 21 and SeamoldSportsZone.com. It'll be a good ones, and we'll be looking forward to bringing them to you right here on YHC. And of course, we'll be right back here with you next Saturday for the Roundtable. And until then, I'm Tyler Wagner. Have yourself a nice week. Take care, everyone.